Now that you're working on developing your presence on Twitter as part of your PLN, let's take a look at another platform you can use as part of that PLN. Let's take a look at podcasting. So podcasts are a valuable resource for teachers in moments when we need to listen and learn from someone else, either related to education or a passion that we have as a learner. There are thousands of podcasts all across the world for you to listen to in moments when you might just have a few minutes, right? Or you might be somewhere without Wi-Fi, but you can download the podcast. For example, you're stuck on a treadmill for 20 minutes. Why not listen to a podcast? Or in my case, I walk about 15 minutes to work from my vehicle to Doudna and then back again. Why not listen to a podcast there and back, right? So for sure, there are all times when maybe we're doing a mundane task like pairing socks or ironing clothes, right? that our brain sort of checks out. Well, many people enjoy listening to podcasts during that time. So to go get your podcast, you'll need to install an app on your smartphone or tablet. I particularly like the Google Podcast app. If you're looking at my device screen, it is the third row down on the far left. And Apple has a good podcasting app as well. So I will go ahead and tap the podcast app. And so now what happens is I've subscribed to all these people. And anytime they send out a new podcast, I automatically am updated that there's indeed a new podcast sitting in the queue to listen to. And so I don't listen to podcasts every day, just when I have time, right? Usually that walk to work when I am not already thinking about something for that day. So let's just say I want to listen to this TED Talks Daily. I've already subscribed to it. When I click on it, I can listen to the most recent episode by just pressing simply play, but I can also download it. So if I find myself on a long car ride somewhere where I won't have access to Wi-Fi and I do not want to chew up my data plan, I will download a series. That way I'm able to still listen to this content in moments when I do not have internet connection. So as you can see now, I've just downloaded this podcast and I can of course just press play if I'm on Wi-Fi. So I'm going to back up. And if you're stuck trying to gather podcasts, like you're not sure what to find, you can always scroll down and they, as in Google Podcasts in my case, start trying to match you with other interests similar to those that when you first grabbed a few podcasts and subscribed to them, tries to figure out other things that you just might be interested in. So I'm going to scroll up to the top and press the magnifying glass and start searching for podcasts that I might be interested in. So I'm going to type education and press enter. So now it's scouring podcasts, right, for the word education. And it brings up one and I can listen to it and see if I'm at all intrigued. Otherwise, it's bringing up lots of different episode results where the word education was mentioned. So as you can see, I already, if I'm looking for a particular topic, I might need to be more focused with, say, the discipline that I'm going to teach, like art education or technology education. I'm going to keep scrolling down, and here I've got what I was looking for, some entire podcasts, right, like the channel, and where I can subscribe. So I will just pick one just so we have something as an example. Math Ed Podcast. So when I tap that, then I can tap subscribe. And so now every time that person, that maker, Samuel Otten from the University of Missouri, posts or updates his podcast, I will have the little new icon in the bottom corner, right? So that, in a nutshell, is how you're going to build your podcast kind of library. I will talk to you about several podcasts that I like to follow. The ones that I check frequently would be, say, John Spencer's Creative Classroom. I do like to listen to the news occasionally, so the CBS Evening News. I love agriculture, so I do listen to the Midwest Farm Report. And Reply All is it's a podcast about the internet. It's actually really engaging and fascinating. I also like Radiolab. Again, not necessarily anything to do with ed tech, although it is at times. It's really just interesting stories. Same thing with anything with Malcolm Gladwell, I just like a lot. And WPR, Wisconsin Public Radio, has several shows that have been turned into podcasts. If I'm on a quick walk, I absolutely love the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. My walk from truck to Doudna is just about 10 minutes, 12 minutes really. And so I can listen to a whole podcast during that time. Probably my favorite, though, is the Google Teacher Podcast, just because I always feel compelled to really try to stay up to date with all my Google knowledge. And they do a great job pulling out kind of what's going on in the land of Google and how that can apply to teachers. So get into Google Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts or any kind of podcast catcher. Just jump into your app store and search for Podcast Player or just word podcast and try one out, and then start subscribing and take podcasts that are either like related to teaching, education, or something you're really passionate about, a hobby you have, something that kind of lights your fire a little bit. And I think you'll kind of get what I mean. I definitely love listening to podcasts, and I highly recommend it for everybody.